Yep, we have another call. Mark from Stone Church in California. Before I get into your actual question, Mark, what's Stone Church?
No, it's not really a Stone Church. It's a callback to Mark from Stone Church, a previous caller on AXP.
I haven't heard that.
Wait. I think I remember this now. But you're not Mark from Stone Church, right? Okay, good.
No, Mark from Stone Church wasn't even Mark from Stone Church, quite honestly.
Yeah, that's how it is on AXP quite a bit.
Yeah, this is a different place. Secular sexuality isn't the same as AXP callers.
That's why we're making fun of AXP callers.
Fair to say. What can we do for you tonight, Mark?
I was thinking about, I was listening to the show, and this came up in my head the other day, how I'm a cis white het male, just get that out of the way. Sure. And but I've been to a bunch of, pride parades and festivals from high school onward,
Well, you do live in California.
Having a good time. So. Yeah, well, I've lived all over the place, but people having a good time, feeling, comfortable and confident and proud of who they are. Who doesn't want to be there, right? Unless you've got something you're ashamed about yourself, right? If you can't be in those environments. And I remember I was thinking about this, how there was a time and place where undeniably being out and bold and outrageous and campy and fun was maybe a stress relief, maybe a release of tensions, a counterculture to this main culture of you must be ashamed, you must hide who you are, right? And I know that still exists in many parts of this world, right? I wouldn't want to deny that. However, listening to Marcus's call, it made me think also of, have we graduated to a point in at least American society, outside of these enclaves of regressive Bible-thumping people who hate themselves? Are we at a point where it's better for the LGBTQ community, whether Black or other groups of people, to be the boring couple in the furniture commercial, right? Not the wild people in gold sequins hot pants, which I adore, but the boring people just going shopping like, oh, we got to get carrots. Why? Because the recipe calls for it. Okay. And that's the idea that pop culture is like, oh yeah, gay people are just as boring as we are. Trans people are so dull, except when they're not, because I'm dull, except when I'm not, right? What have you guys' thought about, are we at a different stage in representation?
I think that's a fascinating question, and I can see Rudy absolutely chomping at the bit. So let me let you jump in, Rudy.
As someone who is super extra, just in everything, let alone queer representation.
Can confirm.
Yes, thank you. I have thought about this a lot because, I see some people that are like, why can't you just be normal? Aren't you trying to just be accepted as normal? It's like, no, I want to be accepted as whatever the fuck I am, normal or not. And so do you, don't you? Like, if you do something weird, don't you just want to be accepted? If I go around with if I walk around on a hot summer day and my only top is a binder and I'm just like, yes, I'm trans. Look at me in this binder. This is all I'm going to wear on the top half of my body today. And that's fine. That's like if I wear outlandish makeup or if I insist on everybody using my pronouns, which, to be honest, in real life, I don't, because I'm a baby. And it's hard to advocate for yourself sometimes. But it's like, at the end of the day, it shouldn't matter how you present yourself, because, if everybody should be allowed to present themselves however they want. And if we have to be boring to be accepted, if we have to be like, we're just like you, we're normal and dull, and we just exist as, like, there's no like if did you watch the movie Love, Simon?
Oh, no.
Okay. Love, Simon is a character who is as straight as a gay character could be. Like, as far as just everything else about the character, it was supposed to be doing I'm normal just like you. I'm just a teenage boy that also likes boys. And it's like, this is definitely for a straight audience, was what I thought when I watched the movie. Was like, okay, I get what you're going for. We're just like you. But I feel like we're past we're just like you. We're normal. Culturally speaking. Maybe that's just me, but in exactly the same way that I'm tired of seeing movies where race is a main theme, where the point of the racial theme is just racism is bad. It's like, aren't we past that? Can we like do something a little bit more interesting, a little bit more nuanced, a little bit like can we get into something a little bit more intellectually stimulating than racism is bad? In the same way, I want to hear queer stories that are more than like, we're just like you, we're normal people. It's like, yeah, I kind of feel like we're past that. Well, yeah, I was jumping at the bit. I apologize. That was a whole rant.
No. That's great. I guess what I'm thinking, part of me feels I understand. I don't want anyone to act normal or boring, but part of me feels like the concept that LGBTQ community is, like you said, extra, is flamboyant, is fabulous, all the things that we celebrate at those festivals, is a kind of minstrel show in a way for a group of people that are human beings with a full range of expression. And that being gay isn't being woohoo, happy days. It's just being a human being. It's just this one. It's like being an atheist doesn't mean you eat babies, right? It's like being in that community, or
being an atheist doesn't make you a Satan worshiper in like all black. I think that might be the comparison here. And I appreciate what you're saying. I think about my dad, who is who I love, who's a wonderful person without a hateful bone in his body, but who doesn't have a lot of maybe direct experience with the queer community. And, when he was a teenager, he was fascinated by Rocky Horror. And he bought me my Frankenfurter sign that's on the wall behind me when you can see it. And he had a totally different relationship with that type of like really dramatic, bombastic, Pink Flamingos piece of queer culture than he does with like actual gay folks. And I think that's really relevant. I'm not a historian, but I'm fairly well aware of the fact that racism became less overt and less dangerous in many ways in the 60s and 70s as advertisers began to realize that Black folks had money to spend. And I think that there was increased marketing and these different things because there was more of that normalcy, that boringness. And frankly, Rudy, I loved the film Love, Simon, because it was about a gay kid who was just a kid who happened to be gay. Yes, it was very much like a queer coming out story, and we can, relitigate a 4-year-old sappy teen heartthrob movie. But in any case, I do think that we can be really flamboyant and have our cake and eat it too, but that ultimately mainstream acceptance of gay rights, of really trans violence, getting away from that and everything else is going to come from just seeing people as people.
Yeah, I totally get on board with that. And I think that the way that I would sum up my thoughts is that as a queer person, I love the absolutely flamboyant, ridiculous queer culture stuff, it makes me feel seen. It makes me feel safe. It makes me feel part of something bigger than myself, just for existing as I am happily. But for acceptance by the world at large, by society at large, the "we can be just like you" is definitely more helpful. Lil Nas X certainly wasn't making his Montero music video for anybody but other queer people, because nobody but other queer people seemed to like it. But that's it. I guess that's kind of how I differentiate it, is like who's the target audience here, I guess.
Yeah, it raises a bigger question about, in politics, whether you need to kind of push on both ends. You know, if you need like a very extreme end of the party, as well as like a more centrist position in order to make your positions popular. Those are big political questions that are a little bit beyond me and a little bit beyond our conversation here. But I think that they're definitely worth asking. And I really appreciate you raising them, Mark.
Thanks. Yeah. And I think I agree with you when I say, I mean, I like the video too, because of that in your face way of doing it. There's lots of symbolism going on. It was very artistically done. And I do think that the change that we need to continue to keep on pushing forward is going to come from those different ends. There's a pushing, a pulling, a nudging. There's the conversations of look, I'm just a normal person. And also, I'm not going to hide. I'm not going to pretend to be this kind of person because it's the only kind of person you're going to accept. It's part of the cultural heritage of the LGBT community in this country is that, right? But I was just wondering if for efficacy and in the 21st century, is that because I spent a lot of time doing Rocky Horror as well, right? And it seems like, of course, I'm older now, but it does seem like Rudy said, we're past the character is gay and anti-gay stuff is bad. We're past that, and it still feels like that is harkening back to those days where hiding was the main thing that you did, and not just the subtle forms of homophobia and transphobia and stuff. And that's why I just wonder if, anyway, that's just my thought. I wanted to hear what you all had to say, and I wanted to hear what your guests had to say about it too.
I think it can be both. Sorry to cut you off, but I think it can be both. I used to listen to this radio show, to your point, Christy, this radio show with this guy who's now like closing in on 70. And he used to talk about his experience being younger, and like his experience being younger was that all the gay people were like, all the straight people wanted to do what the gay people were doing because it's considered cool. Like they were the ones pushing the envelope and doing the weird clubs and like having the fun. But I think it can be both. I think it has to be both. Like, especially if you're Black, a lot of times if you're not doing the sort of cool Black guy things, you're considered not really Black. I don't think we should try to like pigeonhole what is gay or what isn't. I think if you want to be flamboyant gay, you should be flamboyant gay. If you want to be a normal, boring gay person, then you should be a normal, and if you want to be one sometimes and the other sometimes, I think that should be fine. I think we should promote the message that you can be whoever you want to be, instead of this sort of, you have to be this sort of way.
Yeah. If I could add, as far as media representation goes, some of my favorite queer characters in media are characters whose most flamboyant traits have nothing to do with the fact that they're gay. Like they're most sort of out there. Like if you've ever seen Brooklyn Nine-Nine, I know cops are bad. The show's funny, okay? But the captain character is a gay Black man, and his eccentricities as a character have nothing to do with him being gay, and everything to do with the fact that he always talks in a monotone voice, and like it's like the character's quirkiness does not come from their gayness. Like their whole quirky personality is not the gay part. And that's kind of the sort of the middle ground that I kind of see as the best sort of meeting of those sort of like pushing the envelope, being a weirdo and being accepted, but also I'm just like you. You know, being gay isn't my whole personality, as I've heard some straight people say is the reason they can't support certain gay people, is like, oh, you make being gay your whole personality. It's like, I mean, nobody's whole personality is any one thing, but whatever. But
you know, I used to know a guy in Rocky Horror that was his whole personality for a period of time. Everything out of his mouth was.
I think I've met that guy. Yeah.
X.
Okay, well, theater people who are into musicals are a different. They're a different thing. They do, in fact, make musicals their entire personality. That's just true.
like a Rocky Horror Daniel Day Kim, like method, like all the time.
Thanks for taking this topic up. I'll keep on listening and keep thinking about it, and I like the answer that, you know, really to answer everything is that there's room for all different kinds of people in all communities, and that you're not stuck being one way or the other. And as we grow, as our society matures into adulthood or continued adulthood, there's just going to be a lot more. Like you said, the quirky captain whose quirkiness does not stem from his gayness. It stems from his monotone voice. I love that. Sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I meant Daniel Day-Lewis. Never mind.
Oh, yeah, I honestly, that's what I heard. That's what I heard in my head. But yeah, thank you.
I think we all
thank you,
just
Mark,
translated
for
it
calling.
Yeah, thank you for the call.
Take care.
Thanks for having me. Bye-bye.
Yeah, it reminds me of a conversation I heard with John Waters, the famous, you know, filthy director and kind of icon, as he was talking about the I guess the lack of fashion sense among modern protests, and modern queer rebellion didn't have quite that same panache. And I wonder if that isn't a good thing, but I definitely hear the question. So thank you all for walking us through it a little bit.